watching the Mystical Green Beanie.
Hey, what's going on, dudes and dudettes? I am the Mystical Green Beanie, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about a relatively small independent character. I mean, I'm sure that you've never heard of him at all. He's called Spider-Man? I mean, as of right now, he has a small cult following, but, I mean, there's potential. There's potential in this character. I see some very promising things on the horizon for this very small, independent character that not too many people know about. And for those of you who can't comprehend sarcasm, well, anyways, here are my top 10 favorite Spider-Man stories from the 616 universe. Number 10, Superior Spider-Man. Okay, so I've made it very clear how I feel towards Dan Slott's run on Spider-Man. That said, I feel like Superior Spider-Man is the strongest thing he's written, mostly due to the fact that he's technically not writing Peter Parker, but Doc Ock instead. And I feel like Dan has a great voice for Otto Octavius, and I'm just really glad that he was able to do something really interesting and cool with that character, and something that I feel is spectacular and original. Number 9, Amazing Spider-Man issue 300. Alright, so right off the bat, the art by Todd McFarlane is breathtaking, and David Michelinie's writing is stellar. Also, this was the introduction of one of the most complex Marvel villains slash heroes slash anti-heroes, if people still use that term, slash characters of all time. Also, there was a really cute subplot that involved Peter and MJ officially starting their lives as newlyweds and letting Peter's Aunt May know that she was not a burden and that she is more than welcome to be a part of their brand new life. Number 8, Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 21. Okay, so I know that every basic bitch comic book fanboy hails this comic as one of the greatest Spider-Man stories of all time! But, I mean, they're not lying. It really is a great comic. Peter's starting to have second thoughts about getting married due to a number of different reasons, but the main one being his fear of what happened to Gwen Stacy happening to MJ. Meanwhile, MJ's dealing with a bunch of stuff in this issue as well, but we, the reader, don't know all that much about it because we're seeing the book through Peter's eyes. And we figure out what's going on eventually, but I don't want to spoil that just in case someone wants to go back and read some of that old stuff. And coming in at number 7 is Mark Millar's Marvel Knight Spider-Man. Okay, so I am well aware of the fact that I am in the vast minority of Spider-Man fans who like this story, but I can't help it. It's a darker Spider-Man story that plays with the moral ambiguity of all the characters in the Spider-Man mythos. Even some of the villains are given some nuances that I find really interesting. But one of the most interesting things that I find to be interesting, awkward word choice is awkward, is the retcon that Millar gives the villains of the Marvel Universe. Again, this is something that I don't want to spoil just in case you haven't read the story yet, but it's pretty awesome. Also, Terry Dodson, Rachel Dodson, Frank Cho, Avalon Hanin, and Laura Martin's art in this book is beyond words. And I know that I do a poor job of crediting inkers and colorists, but these guys really should be noted for their work because I love Frank Cho and Terry Dodson already, but the inks and colors really make the world pop in this comic. Number 6, Kraven's Last Hunt. In this story, Kraven the Hunter buries Spider-Man alive and tries to take his place as the new Spider-Man. Seriously, if you're not on board for that, I don't think you ever will be. So, yeah, that's that. And coming in at number 5 is Amazing Spider-Man issue 259. This is the origin story of Mary Jane Watson. So this issue takes place after MJ admits to Peter that she's always known that he was Spider-Man, and she just tells Peter everything. We learn about her parents and how toxic their relationship was, and how her dad was an abusive dick who used to beat her, her sister, and her mother, and how after they ran off, they were poor, and how later her sister went down the same road that her mother did, and soon after that, their mother died of cancer, and all of this caused MJ to push her sister away and reject most of her family with the exception of Aunt Anna, who she later on went to go live with. This also serves as an explanation for why MJ likes to act like a ditzy party girl who doesn't really like to form strong relationships because she's afraid that they'll either fall apart or that she'll completely ruin it. All in all, this single issue is the main reason why I love MJ as a character so much, and why I absolutely hate the version of Mary Jane Watson from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. But, you know, whatever. Number 4, The Death of Gwen Stacy. Again, every basic bitch comic book fanboy hails this comic as one of the greatest Spider-Man stories of all time! But once again, they're not lying. See, I've always read this as a story about growing up, and I've always loved the idea of Gwen Stacy dying on a bridge because this is where Peter Parker, as well as Spider-Man, crosses a metaphorical bridge from childhood into adulthood. And we see this with not only Peter, but with Harry and MJ as well. Because now that Norman's dead, Harry's forced into a position where he has to be his own man. And MJ has that amazing moment at the end of issue 122 that I feel is the turning point for her character, where she sees her friend suffering and lashing out at people, but instead of writing him off, she decides to stay and for once, take the matter at hand seriously. And coming in at number 3 is Amazing Spider-Man: The Conversation. So this is the story in which Aunt May finds out that her nephew is Spider-Man, and they just sit down and have a conversation about it. Honestly, I don't really have much to say about this comic other than the fact that it's one of the most beautiful stories that I've ever read. And coming in at number 2 is Amazing Spider-Man: Doomed Affairs. Okay, so in this story, Peter and MJ have just reconciled their relationship in a random airport after they've bumped into each other while catching connecting flights. Suddenly, Dr. Doom appears in the airport and a bunch of rebels try to assassinate him. And during the cleanup process, Peter and MJ have a talk about some of the reasons as to why their marriage didn't exactly work the first time around. And one of the reasons that MJ brings up is that he never introduced her to some of his friends. And there's this beautiful moment in which Peter very awkwardly tries to introduce MJ as a friend to Captain America, and Steve just sees right through the two of them, and he tells Peter that the mask is supposed to hide his face and not his heart. And coming in at number 1 is Spider-Man: One More Day, because this comic is amazing and transcendental, and if you don't like it, well then, you're a fake fan. That's what you are. Fuck you. Piece of shit. But seriously, taking the number 1 spot on this list is Amazing Spider-Man issues 498 through 500. In this story, Spider-Man gets caught in a giant battle with the Mindless Ones, and then Doctor Strange and Dormammu show up, and Spider-Man gets thrown through space and time, and he has to relive his entire history. And the story ends with Doctor Strange giving Peter the gift of having whatever he wants for 5 minutes, and the ending pulls at some heartstrings. I'll say that. But yeah, guys, those are my top 10 favorite Spider-Man stories in the 616 continuity. But what about you? What are your top 10 favorite 616 Spider-Man stories? Let me know down below in the comment section. Also, if you like this video, hit the like button, share, support the channel. And if you want to see more content like this, all you have to do is subscribe. Anyways, I am the Mystical Green Beanie. Thank you for watching, and as always, until next time, adios, nachos. Yep. There was nothing to rest my elbow on, so I just kind of cascaded down. I'm gonna leave that in the video. Yep, that's yeah, that was kind of perfect. Adios, nachos.
Show me what you got. This is over.